The following election coverage is a special presentation of Wake Up Carolina Decision 2020. Here's your hosts, Ken Ard and Dave Baker.
Welcome back to Wake Up Carolina. I'm a little irritated. I'm going to be honest with you because I like running my mouth. And now we're going to have other guys in here able to run their mouth and dominate the conversation. And that's appropriate. We're in the process of choosing a Republican nominee for Sheriff of Florence County. These are two good guys, two very qualified, competent gentlemen. And we're going to give them an opportunity to express to you, our listeners, the millions and millions and millions of you out there who normally hang on every word I utter, are going to listen to a lot of others, a couple of others, and their opinions and their visions and their plans and why they think they're the individual to lead the Sheriff's Department for the next 4 years or basically represent the Republican Party in a general election in November. I'm Glen Kirby. And TJ Joye are with us this morning. We're on Facebook Live, and we're live on our radio network. Glenn, I'll start with you if you don't mind. We'll get right to the issue at hand, and that is you having an opportunity to introduce yourself to people that may not know who you are, where you're from, and what you believe in, what you stand for.
Thank you, Ken, for having both of us. I'm Glen Kirby. I'm a lifelong resident of Florence County. I grew up in Lake City. Attended public school in Lake City. I now live in Pamplico, where I think the county seat should be situated, but we'll get on that later with county council. I've been a deputy sheriff for 33 years. Started at the City of Florence Police, worked my way all the way through the sheriff's office, started as a deputy, became a sergeant on shift, became a narcotics investigator, a lieutenant, special ops. It was called special lieutenant back then. It was FBI task force and things like that. And worked public corruption. Then I became the chief deputy approximately 7 years ago, and I've been in that role or that capacity ever since, which has allowed me to work with our budget, start a lot of growth that I thought we needed because law enforcement changes every year. We started special operations under me as the chief deputy. We've just done a lot of things that I think helps the community. Special ops is a big part of it. I just asked for their vote in June. And if they got any questions about me, please hit me up on Facebook, or you can call me at 843-409-1537.
TJ?
Well, I'm originally from, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I'm originally from Atlanta, big town of Atlanta, one red light. I started my career as a deputy sheriff. I was an MP first and started my law enforcement career, civilian law enforcement career as a deputy sheriff. Went on the highway patrol, and I was stationed in Dillon County, spent right at 9 years there, and promoted back to Florence County, where I reside in Lake City now. And I spent 28 years there, and I've retired with almost 31 years in law enforcement, not counting my military time.
Okay. TJ, I'll ask you the first question. I'm not going to ask the same guy the first question because that's unfair to the other guy. It gets a little while to consider his answer. I'll start with you for the first question. Glenn, you'll get the same question second, and then we'll kind of rotate with that format, and Dave Baker is going to help us kind of keep time. We're not going to be specific to time, but we're not going to allow for filibustering or just going on and on and on and on. What qualifies you to be the next sheriff of Florence County?
I'm the agent for change. I want to change the culture, restructure it, budget-wise, financially, and make it more appropriate, efficient, transparent for the citizens of Florence County. Make it worthwhile as far as making sure that every taxpayer's dollars go for public safety, the safety of the citizens of Florence County. Bottom line.
Glenn?
I am the change. I started the change in 2018 when I had unfortunately had to do the things that had to be done. And the change is there now. We're changing. We're operating under the same budget. We're going to continue to operate under that budget because of the budget restraints that county council has now. I think we've appropriated the right manpower where it needs to be. I think special ops is a special program that we need. My opponent says he wants to change I've listened to the ad, said a culture of corruption change. I take offense to that because that's saying everybody at that sheriff's office is corrupt. If you look up the definition of culture of corruption, and it's just not true. I'm not corrupt. Nobody there that I know of is corrupt. If I find out they're corrupt, we will deal with it just as I've shown. I hated it. It made me physically sick to have to do what I did. but I'm responsible to the citizens of Florence County. And I think that's what they want in a leader, is someone that will hold people accountable. The definition of accountable is doing the right thing. I've shown it, I've done it, and I'll continue to do it.
TJ, I'm going to let you respond to that because he did kind of take offense with one thing that you said in your ads, and we're going to do that both ways. If Glenn feels like you've been, not offended, but I mean, this is a debate, guys. And I mean, elections are elections, and you're trying to create contrast and differences between your opinions to convince voters. So I'll let you address Glenn's remarks.
Well, just some of the stuff that has occurred with the sheriff's office, the sheriff being indicted, and the other guy, the lieutenant, being indicted. Just some of the history of it, and the culture has gone down, in my opinion. That's my personal opinion. Nothing. Glenn's a great guy, but there needs to be a change, and I'm that change. That's the way I feel about it.
Okay, so fair enough, and we'll do some of this, guys. I mean, if somebody feels like they have, not been attacked, I mean, that's an unfair word, but if somebody feels like a point has been raised of which is basically an insult to their candidacy, we're going to allow you guys to respond to that. Glenn, I want to shift gears and go to you. This will be the second question, and you'll get it first. What are the priorities, and what should be the priorities of the Florence County Sheriff's Department in providing law enforcement services to its citizenry?
The main priority is nowadays, because it's shifted so much over the years. When I went to school, there was no school resource officer. Never saw a police officer in the school unless it was police week or fire week, when they showed up and gave out the plastic hats and the policeman came in and spoke to you. And when you'd go to a class, then ask the people, ask the kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? A police officer or a fireman? Everybody just about raised their hand. You don't have that anymore. My top priority is school safety, bring back honor and integrity to police officers, not just deputy sheriffs when you're inside the school. Drugs in our community is another top priority. As a narcotics agent for 10 years, I know what needs to be done. I know how to secure a search warrant. I know how to go after them myself. I've done it. I think I've shown from the stuff in Lake City back in the days that public corruption is one of my top priorities. I will not stand for it. I won't stand for it inside the office, and I won't stand for it anywhere in this community.
TJ, what would be the priorities of which you would make the forefront of the change you're talking about with the Florence County Sheriff's Department?
Well, I agree with Chief Kirby as well about the schools, but also we need more deputies. When I'm talking about deputies on the road for, service for calls, I think, if I'm not mistaken, probably average 8 or 9 on a shift now. We need 14, and they're doing the best they can. They're working hard, but we need more deputies on the road. Also, we need more investigators as well. I agree with the school resource stuff. That's got to be there as well. But here on I want to say it was April the 2nd, we had a shooting out at Linda Drive in Jordan Circle. It took 31 minutes for a deputy to get there. And, that's totally unacceptable. We've got to be more responsive, quicker with the response. And it's not saying it's anyone's fault, but we have to restructure that to make sure we have deputies for calls. That's got to be a priority, deputy for calls. Got to be.
Okay. Next question. You want to respond to that, or you?
Yes. Deputy response. There's 9 deputies on the shift. I'd like to know, how do you plan on adding 5 deputies to the shift? If you add 5 deputies per shift, that's 20 officers. To start that operation, that would be $2 million. If you add, and I think Mr. Joye said it, that he wanted to, in one of the ads, he wanted to double investigations. Well, if you double investigation, that's 24. We have $4.4 million to add that. If you use the meals that they can get, that's around $500,000 a year. If county council would so graciously give it to us every year, it would still take 10 years to get it done. It's just something that's not possible. You have to realign. And if there's a plan you have to realign and make more, put these deputies where they need to be, I'd like for you to tell us what it is and tell us how you plan to add those deputies, because we don't have any deputies to spare. If we disband special operations, you'll get 16. You'll get 16 deputies. Well, you'll get 16 deputies with some of the most experience we have. Their pay will have to be cut, and they'll probably look for other jobs. So we'll lose 16 of our most trained people. And if you put them on a shift, it just doesn't work, because you'd have to have them on call. And you might pick up some response time, but you won't pick up that much.
TJ?
It's top heavy. You got 15, 16 people out there double dipping now. Is that correct?
I don't know.
Yes,
that when you say double dipping, you're talking about the
retired.
Terry plan.
Correct.
Okay.
That is that's an answer and a savior there itself. When we need when the people are needing service on calls, I can restructure this. I know how to restructure. I did schedules for 8 counties, 170 troopers. You know, I know how to structure stuff to make sure our coverage is there. I've done that hands on with my management skills with the patrol. And people say, regardless whether you're a trooper or you're a chief deputy or you're whatever, your accountability is answering that radio, going to calls, and the patrol has to do that 24/7. And we have specialized units. We have the drug interdiction. We have the ACE team, whatever to call it now. And I was on the drug interdiction. I've done a little bit of everything through the military, through sheriff's office, through the highway patrol. But at the end of the day, cut the fat. The taxpayers' money needs to go to public safety. I want to say last time I checked, there's 15, 16 people that were double dipping up there at the sheriff's office. You know, instead of us looking at ways that we can manage it and put it back into our sheriff's office, we need to look at who we are and what we're doing as a whole up there. Rational sense of entitlement doesn't get it.
All right, let's go to the next question. TJ, I'll start with you. Both of you guys have told me the same thing. I'm not a politician and I'm not a partisan. But the reality is you're running for office and you're running as a Republican. So you are a politician. You're no different than I am. I mean, I said the same thing when I ran. I'm not a politician. I'm not a partisan. What does being a Republican, TJ, mean to you?
I'm conservative. You know, smaller government. You know, more buck for the bang as far as spreading it for the taxpayers, as far as public safety. And listen, there's all kind of different Republicans out there. Sheriff Barnes, he's was a Democrat 4-term sheriff, and he's the interim now. So, you know, that's where I stand with it.
Kirby?
A fiscal conservative, Republican, always been a Republican. Just stand with the Second Amendment. Realize you need to have a law enforcement officer is a Republican between us and big government in case we were to get a change at the top. In case the federal people start to come after our weapons, you need a Republican to stand with the citizens of Florence County. I just always been one, and I'll always be one, and I'll always stand with the people as a Republican.
I want to ask you this, and I think this is important. I don't think it matters to you as a sheriff, but I think it matters to our voters. The most prominent Republican in America today is Donald Trump. I mean, he's the leader of the party. You can say it doesn't matter because I'm running for sheriff of Florence County, President Trump. What is your opinion of Donald Trump?
I love him. I voted for him. When he rode down on the escalator, I ordered a sign before anybody else had one. When I could get one, I ordered it. The man stands with law enforcement. He's doing the right thing. He's holding people accountable. And I agree with everything he's doing.
TJ?
I agree 110%. I love him. He's zero nonsense. I mean, he's not a politician. And that's why I love him. You know, he's straight to the point. He doesn't care what people think. He's going to do the right thing.
All right, Glenn, I want to start with you on this one. Not to harp on what has been, but a lot of people in the public understand that the SLED Florence County Sheriff's Department relationship was different. I don't know the details. I don't understand it, but there were some instances or occurrences where it didn't appear that the Sheriff's Department and SLED were on the same sheet of music. I think TJ even said the other day when he was here, he believes you've improved that a lot. Mm-hmm. You know, I think there's a lot more working together or willingness to work together. My question is not that. My question is, why is it important for the Florence County Sheriff's Department to have a good working and trusting relationship with SLED?
Because you need an outside agency to investigate complaints against agencies that you're in charge of. You can't look like you're one-sided. You can't investigate your own things. I've always said that. October 3rd, first phone call I made en route to that location was to Chief Mark Hill. I told Mark Hill, send me every SLED agent you have in this state to come to Florence County. and he was en route to Orlando for a Chiefs meeting in Orlando, and he said, what do you have? And I told him, and I was driving like I don't know what to get there, and I just told him, send me everybody you got, SWAT, all you got. I can't help it when somebody that's in charge, that's above me, cancels it. I was totally disappointed. I'd already been in the process of talking to Mark Keel and SLED on other things, so he and I have a good relationship. He knew what I was going through. He called me. I apologized to him, but that was above me. I had somebody to answer to. But since then, I'll call them on anything we have. Anybody makes a complaint, SLED looks into it, and I think SLED will back it up. That everything we've had, I've called them as soon as I get word.
TJ, same question. Why is it important for the Florence County Sheriff's Office to have a trusting working relationship with SLED?
You have to work in hand with them. You have to have them. They're going to be assisting you with murder cases, other stuff, whatever the sheriff asks, assistance with, that's what they're going to have to do. And they there for you. Chief Keel and I are very close friends. They'll be there, regardless of what you ask. They're going to help you 110%. And you have to have that. You got to have SLED with you on your side.
Okay, let's take a break. First break of the hour. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Do want to thank our sponsor, Swap Payment. Tell me again, Rev. I can't hear you. Swap Payment Solutions. I know it's Swap Payment. I didn't know it was Swap Payment Solutions. They were kind enough, and all of you listeners need to understand that we can't go on the air for nothing. So Swap Payment Solutions kind of came in when we announced the debate and agreed to be our sponsor, and we thank them for being willing to do this, because we think this is a very worthy public service. We're normally selfish and all about ourselves, but today we're shifting gears and sincerely trying to give you a look into the two candidates who will be trusted to lead our law enforcement for the next 4 years, if indeed they win the general in November. Back in a minute.
This exclusive presentation of Decision 2020 on Wake Up Carolina will continue after this.
Schofield's is our sponsor today, and during their re-grand opening sale, get up to 25% off power tools by DeWalt, Milwaukee, and Craftsman, plus get up to 50% off footwear by Clark's, Sperry, Ariat, Georgia Boots, and 40% off all turkey hunting supplies, all going on at Schofield's.
The following election coverage is a special presentation of Wake Up Carolina Decision 2020. Here's your hosts, Ken Ard and Dave Baker.
Once again, I want to thank our sponsor, Robbie Bryan of Swap Payment Solutions, 843-801-5488. Thank you very much for their last-minute support of this candidates forum/debate that we're having for the Republican nomination for Sheriff of Florence County. TJ, I'll start with you. I've always believed that gangs and drugs were limited to people or cities like New York and Chicago. I mean, certainly we don't have any of those sorts of problems in an area as rural and agrarian in nature as Florence County. I've learned the hard way that is not the case. How do you plan to combat drugs and gangs, and what is the Florence County's responsibility, Florence County Sheriff's Department's responsibility to that? Well,
we got to enforce and go out and work the streets, and I really have to say this. I think Florence County's gang task force, they do a great job. They on top of this. I actually went to a school years ago there, and then I went to one in Columbia, and it's here. But you have to get out there and work the streets, combat it with your narcotic agents. And I know the narcs with the county. I think they do a good job. I really do. I think they've done a great job so far, and with the gangs. Continue that, enhance that effort. And I think they're combating it. I will say that. I think they do a good job with that.
Glenn?
What was the question again?
Well, it's about gangs and drugs. A lot of people believe that's only isolated to the major metropolitan areas. I've been led to believe that that's not the case. It's prevalent here.
Yeah, like I said last week when I was here, and I'm not talking bad about Lake City by no means, but Lake City admitted it. They're one of the few people that mayor and the police chief admitted they have a huge gang problem, and they've asked us to help, and we continue to help with our SRT. We put them there, and they're highly trained in drug interdiction. They have the proper equipment on, because as we know, these gang members are armed with high-powered rifles now, just like the chase we had the other day at AR-15 in the front seat. That could have very easily turned deadly. against deputies. The deputies that are working on the street every day have different threat level vests than what our SRT team will wear. And the reason why, it's not because we're giving them better, it's because it's so uncomfortable. They can't wear it all day long. So gang problems is a big deal, and we're working on it. Our narcotics agents are doing a great job. We kind of slowed down on the search warrants right this minute because of COVID-19, but we're stacking up on distribution warrants. And when we can start arresting those, we will. It's a major problem. And I think what we're doing now with our SRT and structuring our manpower to be in these drug areas, it's working. Our criminal cases are less coming in. I mean, not as many break-ins and things like that. So if I think you hit them hard using the DDACs and working in that area, it's working, and we're seeing the results of it now.
One thing I've never liked, Glenn, I'll start with you on this one. One thing I've never liked, and you and I have talked about it. I've talked about it with TJ. I've talked about it with our former sheriff, and I've talked about it to sheriffs all over the state when I ran for lieutenant governor. I've never liked the reality of a sheriff's race, including people who work there. It's different. As a county council member, we didn't go to the public works director, you know what I mean, or the rank and file county employees and say, I need you to help me because if you help me, I'll do this. There's livelihoods at risk here. You can't stop that from happening all over the state. Yeah. But give me your interpretation of job security in a competitive sheriff's race where deputies have friends all over the place. There's some sheriffs that believe if you ain't with me, you're gone. If I'm elected, give me your take, and then I'll let TJ give him.
That's not my take at all. I've never threatened anybody to support me. I have people at that sheriff's office that are diehard. They're supporting me because they've seen that I've been in the trenches with them. I'm out there working with them, and that's their choice. Far as young deputies, I've told some of them, please don't get involved in this. Don't get involved in this. You don't want to risk anything. Me saying that, do I believe that my opponent will fire him? No. And I've told him that. I said he can't fire everybody. He's not going to fire people. Now, he just said that there's 16 people. He says, I'm checking the numbers to make sure that have retired and come back. So I guess those 16 people will be gone. So that's 16 people that will lose their job who's dedicated their life to Florence County Sheriff's Office, and they chose to retire and get their money. I retired. I used my money to put my daughter through college. TJ's retired. So I guess he'll be double dipping if he comes back. These people don't deserve that. They took their money from the retirement board. They still pay into the retirement system now. It comes out of their check. And I got another one that works there that used his money. These are experienced people. Some are only in their 50s. Because they chose to get a retirement check, I need to terminate them. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with terminating anybody over politics. I don't agree with hiring people for politic reasons. Only reason I think about terminating someone is job performance. If your job performance aren't there and you can back it up on paper, I know the sheriff has a power to fire at will. I will not be a sheriff like that. These people risk their lives every night, and they don't need to undue stress worrying about their job doing a sheriff's election.
TJ?
Well, first of all, on the firing 16 of them, we can remap their salaries. We're not talking about firing 16 or 15. Did you find out how many it was? 15 or 16?
As soon as they tell me, I'll tell you.
But what I'm saying is, do they need their full salary there after you retire? That's what I'm saying. There's ways to make this better. And the question that you asked about, a deputy should pledge his loyalty and his commitment to the citizens, not to a candidate.
I agree.
And he shouldn't have to worry with that, because number one is, if that deputy, he or she, is doing the job they're supposed to do and dedicated to doing that, I'm going to get reelected. But if they're not, I'm not. In the real world, they came on not to be a politician. They came on because they love law enforcement. Bottom line. And that's where we are with that. I don't agree with that. And I can't say for a fact, I know that I don't know if that's going on or not, but I do know this. If I was the sheriff and I had this question asked me, said, if you were the sheriff and you had a subordinate, he or she had a sign in yard for the other opponent, would you fire him? I said, no. That's their God-given right. Because number one is, what gives the sheriff of a county a right to take away the Constitution that men and women die for every day for freedom of this country? What is that? That's their freedom of speech. And there's a line should be drawn there.
Let me, TJ, I'll start with you on this question. Glenn got the last one first.
Can I respond to that one?
Sure.
There's some captains that have retired and come back. I'm retired and come back. I did the math on it the other day. If we were to restructure the salaries and drop them down, you would save $28,000. That won't even pay for a deputy, but you'll also lose experience. So if you're saying they're top heavy and you're going to get rid of them, so you're not going to take them out of their jobs as captains and lieutenants. You're just going to restructure their salary and leave them in those positions. That's what I'm assuming.
I'm going to restructure everything.
So these guys, there's one guy I know for sure that's in civil division. He asked me, could he retire? Sheriff's office hadn't had raises in years until I got there as the chief deputy. We had 2 in the last 6 years, and county councils got him there. But the guy never got cost of livings or anything. And he asked me, could he retire and come back? He retired and came back under the retirement system that you only can draw $10,000 a year of your retirement.
Right.
He's still paying in probably, I would say, half of that out of his check. So he did this to gain $5,000 a year because Florence County Sheriff's Office pay is not up to par with the rest of them around here. So if you restructure and these people decide to leave, we can't hardly find applicants to come in to work. So you're going to lose a lot of experience to save $28,000. I just don't see it. Doing the math, I don't see it's feasible. These guys do a great job, and we have them in these positions for a reason.
Let me ask you a question. Do you mind me asking your last pay increase? Did you not go from a 33 to a 38?
Who, mine?
Yes, sir. 5. Most deputies got a 2. So what I'm saying, Glenn, is that it's about entitlement. I think we have got to look at the deputies.
Yes.
And you worked the road with me back then. We've got to have more deputies. We've got to have more investigators for this caseload. So my question is, this type of stuff is what I'm looking at.
Yeah. And when you said went to a 35 to a 38, you were exactly right.
33 to a 38.
We reclassified every slot from the bottom to the top, so we could have growth.
But is it true that the deputies got 2?
I started at the Florence County Sheriff's Office. I started as chief deputy at $68,000 a year, $69,000. The former chief deputy there was making $80,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
I started at the bottom. I now make $71,000 a year is what my salary is as the chief deputy. $71,000. All right, the slot you said, if you go back and look, I'm at the bottom of that slot. I did not ask for a pay. I said we changed the slot. So later on, you could move up.
Right.
A chief deputy at Florence County Sheriff's Office, if we get the pay raises that they should get and cost of livings, he should make $90,000 a year. When he gets there, the sheriff should make more. And then the reason it was done that way is so there is room for growth because you have to stop.
How about the growth of the deputies just going up two grades?
Well, they went up 2 grades is because now they got room to move. Then
Would you not agree with me that they need it more than anybody?
They need more than anybody. That's why we moved their grade up.
Well,
their grade jumped up.
It needs to go more than 2.
No, when you say 2, you're talking about 2 slots.
2 slots, that's correct.
Exactly.
And you went 5, correct? 5 slots up from the pay scale.
Yes.
Correct? Okay.
But the pay scale, I'm at the bottom of the pay scale, and so are these deputies. I'm at the bottom of the pay scale of a chief deputy. Our captains are at the bottom of the pay scale for captains. We did all this to move.
Would you agree with me on this, that if we paid them more, retaining them and attracting them would help us?
Yes, exactly.
Correct?
But if you did not move everybody else up, it was so messed up in there. The grades were so messed up. We had lieutenants, or we had sergeants that were making more than lieutenants.
Exactly.
We had to fix it. So when we moved the slots up, and Ken understands what a slot is because he was on county council, we moved their slots up so deputies can now make up to $40,000 a year. So once they get to that point, they stalled out. They're done.
Right.
But you can't let them move up any more as deputies because if you move up any more than that, they'll be making more than the corporal. They'll be making more than the sergeant.
You could structure like a senior deputy. You have that master deputy, give them so much percentage and the cost of living every year.
Every bit of that has a price tag.
Okay.
But we've done it. We've structured it now so if county council ever can find the money, we can actually move them up, and they'll be on par with everyone else. Everybody's now the same as a sergeant. Everybody's the same as a lieutenant in a close range. And captains, and the chief deputy is allowed to move up if they ever get a new one, and they allow it, he'll move up. But as far as mine, I started out a lot less than the one that was there, and I haven't moved up.
We're going to take a break. We'll be back after the break. Continue the Republicans candidate debate for the sheriff of Florence County.
This exclusive presentation of Decision 2020 on Wake Up Carolina will continue after this.
Business owners, we are here today with Robbie Bryant, owner of Swipe Payment Solutions, talking about how his locally owned credit card processing company can help local business owners save. Robbie, tell us about Swipe Payment Solutions and how you can help local business owners.
Sure. Swipe Payment Solutions saves you money specifically by helping you divert your credit card acceptance costs in your business by offering a discount to customers who choose to pay in cash. The end result to your business is that your current credit card processing bill goes down to a flat $25 with no other cost ever. Sound complicated? It's not. We offer a legal, easy to use, and compliant processing method that allows you to divert nearly 100% of your processing cost. Swipe Payment Solutions has a large and growing amount of Florence businesses using this cash discount system, and what they've done in their business with their savings is nothing short of amazing. Swipe Payment Solutions would love to earn your business as well. Call us or text us at 843-801-5488.
Schofield's is our sponsor today, and during their re-grand opening sale, they have all brands of clothing. Now buy one at regular price, get the second one 50% off, including brands by Carhartt, Mountain Khaki, Cool, Drake, Columbia, Bandit, Browning, and more. All at Schofield's.
The following election coverage is a special presentation of Wake Up Carolina Decision 2020. Here's your hosts, Ken Ard and Dave Baker.
So to show you how fair we are here, I just told TJ and Glenn, y'all ain't gonna like this next question. You know what both of them said? Well, what is it? I can't tell you what it is, man. We're gonna do it by the book and do it the right way. All right, Glenn, I'll start with you.
I figured you would.
Well, yeah. I mean, I started with TJ last. So, and I've kept notes here. I got one arrow pointing one way.
How do you know that?
And I got an arrow pointing one way and then an arrow pointing the other way. We know we're dealing with a lot of civil unrest as it relates to the coronavirus. You can do this, you can't do that. People have been told they can't go to certain places, they can't go to work. If the governor's order says that a person can't do their job and they're doing their job anyway, that puts you in a very difficult, compromising position, because I know how both of you think. What do you do? What do you direct the sheriff's department to do when the governor's order says this person can't operate their business, but that person really needs to operate that business? That's a tough question, because I know how both of you are wired, but I think it's a fair question right now.
Yeah, and I think it is too. What we've done and what I've told them is if somebody's doing something that violates the governor's order, just go by and talk to them. Tell them the reason why we're there. We hadn't had any calls like that, though, not that I know of, that they've called me about. I would not put someone in jail for doing it because their livelihood is at risk. I would just ask them, please stop. Just like I couldn't understand why we couldn't get a haircut. But that was the governor's order, and as far as I know, everybody abided about it. And a lot of people that I know cut hair were upset over it. And some of them called me and said, if I open, are you going to put me in jail? I said, no, I'm not going to put you in jail. I said, but I'd ask you not to do it because it is the governor's order, and I think the governor is making decisions on what he thinks and what he's been told by experts that could spread this virus. I would like for you not to do it, and so far, and we hadn't had any problems with it.
TJ?
I think there's policies. The governor, does an order. We have to abide by them as law enforcement officers, but I think we got bigger fish to fry than that. Bigger fish to fry. I have to agree with Glenn on that. That's how I feel. There's other things out there a lot worse than that. And people, listen, like you said, this epidemic, the COVID-19 has caused a lot of unrest. There's a lot of people struggling right now, and to go and I have to commend them saying they don't like that. I had to answer someone on Facebook the other day and about this officer went in a tirade about the COVID-19 and why the police officer's doing. I agree. There's bigger fish to fry than that.
Well, TJ, I'll start with you on this one. This is the last question, and then we'll get to closing remarks. Both of you have talked a lot about culture. I've been in business all my life. I know it's just not about profit and employees. There's a culture that you create. What sort of culture do you want at the Florence County Sheriff's Office? Well,
accountability, transparency, respect for one another, respect from the citizens, also the work ethic. Give all you have, 110%. And I expect my supervisors to inspect what they expect. That goes from appearance, the court appearance, to doing 360. with investigations and everything. That the culture is, you know, as I tell people, uniform and a badge and rank is something you wear. Respect is something you earn. And you don't earn it by sitting on your fanny doing nothing. You have to be accountable. And I'm telling you, the men and women of the Florence County Sheriff's Office, they work hard. There's some lacking in leadership up above, but other than that, they do a good job. And I feel that. That's what I want to bring to the table, the transparency, the discipline, and the leadership.
Glenn?
Yeah, I agree with him on the transparency. I've told people I want to be the most transparent sheriff Florence County has ever had. I think we've changed the culture some. We had lifelong politicians, I'd say, running the place, telling people to do certain things and allowing certain things to happen. We're holding people accountable. The change is there now. It can be seen. We're holding the supervisors accountable for what they do. We're holding their job performance. We're monitoring them. We're bringing them in and talking with them about what we expect from them. We're having meetings regular with them. The change is there now. Those officers work every day. They work hard. The culture there is great. The deputies, we're holding them accountable. They do their job every day. I don't know how much more accountable you can be. I don't know how much more I can be. I've been transparent. I'm giving my phone number to everyone. You don't have to file a FOIA to get information from me. You call me. I'll tell you exactly what's going on in Florence County Sheriff's Office. And the deputies are the same way. And they know that the leadership there now is going to hold them accountable. That being me as the chief deputy and Sheriff Barnes. And if you ask any of them, it's changed in the last 6 months. And the reason I say 6 months is because we have to wait. Somebody's charged with a crime. They have to either plead guilty or be found guilty. So we wasn't implementing any kind of change or anything until we knew this thing was over and it's time to move forward and change this office. And we are changing it, and I'm going to continue to change it.
Okay. Each of you have about 3 minutes. I think we've got about 7 or 8 minutes left. 3 minutes each to, I guess, closing remarks, plead your case, tell our listeners and your voters why you think you're the best choice to be Sheriff of Florence County. Glenn, I'll start with you.
33 years at Florence County Sheriff's Office. Well, one with the city of Florence. The most qualified. I've said it the most. I've said it numerous times. Experience is one thing, but the right experience is everything. Started as a deputy, sergeant, moved up all the way through to the ranks of chief deputy. I've always been accountable to the people. I've always been accessible to the people, and I will continue to be that way. I want to be the most transparent, honest sheriff this county has ever had. I just want to be given the opportunity to show what I can do. If I don't do it the way I say I've been doing it, they can hold me accountable in 4 years. But I will do the right thing. I've shown it, and I will continue to do it. And we're going to hold leadership, supervisors accountable for their actions. It's going to be a whole new culture. But there is no culture of corruption. The corruption is gone. And we're going to move forward and be professional law enforcement officers.
If someone wants to help your campaign, associate with your campaign, support your campaign, how can they communicate with you?
You can call me at 843-409-1537 or go to Glen Kirby on Facebook or my website. Those are the best ways to get a hold of me.
TJ?
In closing, I'd just like to say thank you for having me. First of all, my experience speaks for itself. I had over 730,000 people that I had to deal with my last take, 8 counties. I think it's over right at 6,000 square miles. So, and the troopers, 170 plus troopers. I know through this campaign, the patrols had we're not experienced and all that, but I've had military police. I went as a deputy sheriff and loved it. And I went with the highway patrol. And I spent my time almost 31 years in law enforcement. I believe that if you give me a chance, the American people gave Donald Trump a chance, and they wanted change. And I am the agent for change. I want to change it. And listen, I'll say this in closing. I love Glenn. There's not a guy out there that I don't like. Difference of opinions come with my management skills and their management skills. I've supervised almost 20 years. 20 years in supervision. I've been through about every type of school there is for supervision with the highway patrol. And I will say this, the highway patrol is very, very well structured. And we have Troop 5 as one of the best troops in the state. I was proud to work for him. And Captain Joe Nail, I worked for him my whole entire time. If anybody wants to know my record, they can talk to Joe Nail. because I work hard and I believe in doing the right thing. Accountability, I've had my cell phone on everything for 30 years. Back then, I didn't have a cell phone, I had a pager. But I wanted people to be able to know they could contact me. At the end of the day, you know, I can't do this by myself. I need the people to surround me and support me. And like I said, D.C. gave Trump a chance for change, and I need that chance.
If someone wants to help you support your campaign, same thing to Glenn, how can they communicate or contact you or a member of your campaign?
My webpage, TJ Joye for Sheriff, on my cell phone, 843-687-4857. I'm on Instagram as well.
Okay. Appreciate both of you. Anything else you want to say? Either one of you. We've got about a couple of minutes here. If not, you got to put up with me running my mouth for about 2 minutes here.
No, thank you for having us.
Fair enough. Thanks to both of you. And I mean this sincerely. For whatever reason, sheriff's races are hotly contested in South Carolina. They just are. County council races will bore you to death. City council races will bore you to death. There's something about the sheriff's race. And maybe it's because people have so much passion about law enforcement. I mean, if you look at one of the primary functions of government, it is to keep its citizenry safe. I mean, we could argue about roads and bridges and buildings and museums and whatnot, and there are varying opinions there. But I think conservatives, liberals, Democrats, and Republicans all agree that the government's priority should be keeping its people safe. And that falls on the shoulder and rests on the shoulders of law enforcement. I know these two guys, they put people like me in a very difficult position because you think so much of both of them. I've known them a long time. I respect both of them. And I felt that's why it was important that we engage and allow our listeners and your voters to make a calculus on who they think is best suited, best qualified to represent you, the people, as Sheriff of Florence County. Appreciate you listening. What do we have, Rev? A minute or so? Got about a minute before we get out of here. But and I could blabber for another hour if that's what you want, but I know that's not what people are listening to. I appreciate both of these guys. And the one thing I want to say that I think is important, they both have had chances to be negative. And they've had some disagreements. You've heard some disagreements here on the air, that there's been no negativity. There's been no insult. We didn't turn this into the Jerry Springer show. Rev asked me yesterday, so what happens if one goes across the table toward the other? I said, turn the volume up. We'll get out of the way and make it for good theater. But these are two first-class people. You've got a choice to make, but you're not making a choice between a good guy and a son of a gun. You're making a choice between two good people. And we'll decide a few weeks from now in the June primary as we elect the Republican nominee for Sheriff of Florence County that'll represent our party, my party, your party, in the primary come November. Enjoy your day. We'll talk tomorrow. Wake up, Carolina.
You've been listening to a special presentation of election coverage, Decision 2020 on Wake Up Carolina.